welcome back to another episode of Play Action Fantasy Football. This is going to be the quarterback start sit video, but before we jump into it, if you can go ahead and like and subscribe ahead of time or at the end, either way, it doesn't matter to us as long as we get that. We really appreciate that. Hopefully, we're giving you some really good advice here. I know sometimes we're not going to be on the money with it. Sometimes we're going to be close, and sometimes we're going to be way off the mark. I mean, this has been a weird year overall for fantasy football, but we're doing the best we can to give you the best advice. Moving forward, though, quarterback starts at videos. Let's go ahead and start it. Thursday Night Football. Trevor Lawrence is questionable in this game, going into this game, I should say. If he does play, he has a cautionary start just because of how good the Saints defense has been recently. CJ Beathard, if he starts, though, I'm going to go ahead and sit him. Saints side of the ball, though, Derek Carr, go ahead and start him. Jaguars have not been good almost at all this whole season. They have had a couple decent games, but not enough to where I'm shying away from starting quarterbacks against them. Derek Carr, and I do think after a 353-yard performance, 1 touchdown interception, I think he can do about the same, if not maybe a couple more touchdowns and one less interception. Sunday games at 1 o'clock, you get the Falcons and the Buccaneers. Desmond Ritter, Baker Mayfield are going to be cautionary starts for me in this game. Baker had a tough outing against the Lions, and now he gets another tough pass defense like the Falcons. Desmond Ritter, though, 307 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. I might have stated, and I'll have to go back and look, I believe I accidentally stated that Desmond Ritter threw 3 touchdowns in the wide receiver start sits when we went to that game. He threw 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Mix those up, my apologies. But Desmond Ritter nevertheless did throw for 307 yards. That was against Washington. Now you got to go against the Buccaneers in Tampa Bay. Not a huge fan of this matchup here at all. But if you need a quarterback because a quarterback is hurt or bye week, I'm not opposed to maybe throwing him as a stream. If you have a better option, do so. But as of right now, a lot of teams are holding quarterbacks or whatever the case is. Desmond Ritter is not a terrible option if you need somebody this week. Raiders and Bears now, and you got Jimmy Garoppolo, who has a questionable tag going into this game. He is more than likely not going to play because of a back injury. However, more than likely will be Brian Hoyer, the veteran in the league, versus Aiden O'Connell, who was also hurt last week. Now, if Aiden O'Connell plays, I'm going to sit him. If Brian Hoyer plays, I'm going to cautionarily start him. This is a cautionary start for him. Brian Hoyer, just being a veteran, he's going to have to target somebody, and he's going to have connections with his receivers. There's no doubt about it. He did pretty well around the league throughout the years. Now he's going to probably have another opportunity with the Raiders. Bears side of the ball, though, Justin Fields is questionable. He is actually more doubtful now from a recent report. When I made this, it was questionable. Now he's more looking doubtful at this point, and he is more than likely not going to play. Now, if he does play, cautionary start him. Again, that it's a throwing hand, dislocated thumb. I don't like the injury. He's a cautionary start. Any of these other guys, Nathan Peterman or Tyson Baggett, go ahead and sit them. Moving on, you got the Browns and the Colts, and Deshaun Watson is reported to maybe get a start against the Colts here. Now, if he does play, I'm going to start him. I'm going to start Deshaun Watson. If P.J. Walker plays, I'm going to start him with caution. But if Dorian Thompson-Robinson plays, sit him. Sit him. Reports are showing that P.J. Walker would start over Deshaun Watson. Now, sometimes that's not 100% true with these reports. I got to wait and see exactly what to hear from the head coach of the Browns to figure out what exactly is going to happen. Colts side of the ball, though, Gardner Minshew going up against Cleveland's defense, who just made Brock Purdy look like an average quarterback again. With or without McCaffrey or with or without Deebo Samuel, yeah, that's kind of scary. And they got to him a good amount of times in the game as well. So, Gardner Minshew for me, sit him. Washington and Giants now, and Sam Howell will be a start for me in this one. Tyrod Taylor will be a cautionary start. Sam Howell did throw for 151 yards only. That's it. That's all he threw. But he made it fantasy viable because he threw 3 touchdowns. 3 touchdowns puts you in a category to be a start. Now, it was up against the Falcons, who actually have a pretty good pass defense. And you could see with the yardage, but the touchdowns got there. And a lot of that has to do with his receivers as well. Tyrod Taylor is going to be a cautionary start for me. He only put up about 10 points, 8 to 10 points, depending on your league scoring, against the Buffalo Bills. However, that was his first weekend as a starter. Now he gets another week to prepare for it. And he gets the Commanders, who are not the best against the pass. And the Giants are home in this situation. So Tyrod Taylor, cautionary start movement on that one. I get the Lions and the Ravens, and I'm going to go ahead and start both these guys. Jared Goff has just been slinging the ball. I love it. 353 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Buccaneers last week. And now he's got Amon-Ra St. Brown back. Jameson Williams is back. Now he does not have David Montgomery. And Jahmyr Gibbs is more of a pass-catching running back. Now, Craig Reynolds might have more of a workload, or he might take over. It all depends on what happens with Gibbs or how they feel about it. But regardless of the fact, both those guys are going to be out of the backfield catching passes for Goff, and it's going to help not only him, but his teammates in the process. So if you have Jahmyr Gibbs, or you have St. Brown or Reynolds or Williams, this is just a good matchup overall now that David Montgomery is out. This helps not only your quarterback, but your receivers or your running backs that aren't David Montgomery. Ravens, on the other hand, Lamar Jackson, like I said, start him. 223 yards, a touchdown, interception. Not the best outing for him. Titans are they can bring a little bit of pressure from time to time. And there was some drop passes from the Ravens as well last 2 weeks from their receivers. Zay Flowers is his only reliable guy right now. So as of right now, just keep it in mind with Lamar Jackson. But I will start him in this matchup. Bills and Patriots, I'm going to go ahead and start Josh Allen and sit Mac Jones. There's really nothing else more that needs to be said there at this point. We're just going to move on to the next game. Now you got the Cardinals and the Seahawks, and Josh Dobbs has went from being a possible streaming, maybe he might be a good fantasy quarterback this year, to now we see why he's not a starter in the NFL the last couple weeks. Or at least why he hasn't been, I should say. He has been a starter so far this year for them. But Josh Dobbs on this hand is going to be a sit for me against Seattle. Geno Smith, on the other hand, will be a start in this game. I really like what Geno Smith has to bring to this table. And again, the Cardinals just make quarterbacks that are struggling look better. Now, Geno Smith did throw for 223 yards, good amount of yards against the Bengals last week, but he did throw 2 interceptions. That's not what you want to see. There's no touchdowns there. But the Bengals have a better pass defense than the Cardinals. Now you got the Steelers and the Rams, and I'm going to go ahead and put a cautionary start on both these guys. Kenny Pickett coming off, again, a knee injury from 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, I should say, to winning a game 17-10 against the Ravens, to now having a bye week. He's getting a little bit of rest. I don't know exactly how bad he's going to be, but the Rams did play really good the last couple games here. Their defense is stepping up, so Kenny Pickett, cautionary start. Matthew Stafford, now that he has Cooper Kupp back, I like it. However, he's not putting up a lot of fantasy points. Now, that does have a lot to do with Kyren Williams taking the ball and being a good running back this year, more than anyone had probably expected. A lot of people probably expected Cam Akers. However, Kyren Williams is probably out this game. Zach Evans is a rookie going in. They're probably going to have to throw the ball more, and that's going to also lead to possibly more interceptions for Matthew Stafford, who has thrown a decent amount. Now, Stafford last game did have 226 yards and a touchdown. I still don't like it. I think he's a questionable start for me this week. I like the opportunities he's going to have, but it's just a matter of also the opportunities of possibly throwing interceptions, the increase of that. That's an issue for me, but he's a cautionary start. Chargers and Kansas City. Justin Herbert has struggled. However, I will say this. Justin Herbert plays really well in his career against Kansas City. And I don't expect that to change this week, even with their head coach still intact for them in Los Angeles. Justin Herbert will be a start for me in this game. Patrick Mahomes will also be a start for me in this game. Patrick Mahomes has been very, very underperforming in fantasy football. But last week he had 306 yards, a touchdown. He did throw an interception, but he also ran the ball 6 times for 31 yards. So he's throwing that running upside in there as well this past week. I don't think he's going to do that against the Chargers this week. I think he'll just be able to sling it and throw some touchdowns, and that's definitely going to be a good matchup for him moving on. So now we got the Packers and the Broncos. Jordan Love is going to be coming off a bye week, and he's been pretty good all year long, except for that one game against Las Vegas. Just completely shit the bed. But I like the matchup for him here. Russell Wilson, on the other hand, I'm going to go as a cautionary start. He is a veteran. The Packers do have some times where they do give up some explosive plays down the field. But Russell Wilson is a very questionable start for me in this one. I'm very cautious on this one. I wouldn't, if you have a better option out there for streaming this week, if you need one, do it. Russell Wilson is not a terrible option, again, but he's put up points. It's just the last 2 weeks he has not done very well. And that's very concerning considering that he was putting up 17, 18, 20 points a game in fantasy. But again, yeah, he's going to be a cautionary start. Ending our Sunday games, we got Sunday Night Football, and this is going to be an all-out shootout. Dolphins and Eagles, you're going to go ahead and start both these guys. Tua is going to be a start. Jalen Hurts is going to be a start. Hurts is coming off a game where he knows he should have won that. In all honesty, he should have won that, but he gave it up at the very end there. 280 yards and a touchdown passing, but he threw 3 interceptions and then the one sealing the game at the end there. However, he did also have 8 carries for 47 yards and a touchdown. Now, Miami's defense has been up and down this year. It's almost like a roller coaster at this point. But I expect to bounce back at a home game against Dolphins here. Jalen Hurts should have no problem in this one. We're going to end it here with Monday Night Football. 49ers and the Vikings, and Brock Purdy will be a start for me in this one. Vikings defense is absolutely terrible against the pass, and coming off a rough game against Cleveland, he's going to be looking for a bounce back, so go ahead and start him. Vikings, on the other hand, Kirk Cousins is going to be a very cautious start for me. Not too confident in this one. He only threw 181 yards and a touchdown, and he fumbled the ball again, but this time it was against the Bears. They're going to have to throw the ball a lot. I just don't know if it's also going to lead to a lot of picks. The 49ers are pretty good at doing that this year. They are pretty good at creating turnovers. But the 49ers, they might not have Deebo Samuels, and Christian McCaffrey is also questionable. So just keep that in mind moving forward. Now, obviously, if you have a better option as a Kirk Cousins, you're going to play him. No doubt about it. Kirk Cousins, to me, this week is a last resort type of start. Unfortunately, until he can get Justin Jefferson back, which is only about 2 to 3 more weeks away, hopefully, then Kirk Cousins can become fantasy viable again. But we'll have to wait and see. But other than that, that's going to end it for our start tip for quarterbacks here. Like I said, go ahead and like and subscribe. And if you haven't watched the wide receiver one, go back and look at that. I also ask at the end of that one, I'm going to ask at the end of this one, what's your record so far? Let's see what your record is in fantasy football. And if you think our advice has been helpful or not helpful, we're curious to see. I mean, there are going to be some people that don't agree with it, and there are going to be some things that we hit, and there's some things that we miss, like I stated. But, this is fantasy football. This is the way it's working this year. It's very weird overall, and it's a very strange season, but we're doing the best we can to help you guys win championships. You guys have a good one, and make sure you look out for the running back and tight end start sits later today.